Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. This is a lineup construction video for the 2020 RBC Heritage. Before we get into the video, I like to remind you that you can watch this video at a faster speed. If you're on desktop, hover your mouse over my face. You're going to find a gear icon somewhere down here. Go ahead, drill down on that. You'll find playback speed. I prefer 1.5, but if you're daring, select 2 times speed. That way it cuts the video in half, because I like to talk a lot. I like creating long videos that are in detail. So this way you can consume more information faster, or just get through it as fast as possible. You'll also find this on mobile, top right corner. You're gonna see 3 dots that make a vertical line. Drill down on that, you'll find playback speed there as well. I will have timestamps in the description, so you can find whatever part of the video that you find most interesting or valuable or important, whatever you want to, whatever it adheres to you. So what do I do in these lineup construction videos? Well, I find a unique way to create lineups, basically a unique way to create player pools. And I use a system that I call the bucket system, and it's looking at the most recent results of last year's tournament, for this tournament, and last week's tournament. And I do kind of a combination. And why I do that is I'm a competitive golfer myself, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are golfers as well. So when you go to your next round of golf, what do you remember the most about your game? Was it the last tournament, or not last tournament, the last round of golf you played in? More than likely, right? Now, what about if you go to a golf course you've golfed many times before? When you're on every single hole, do you remember your bad shots, your good shots, that kind of stuff? You probably do, right? So I'm kind of incorporating that into my system, because believe it or not, the tour pros aren't any different than us. They're going to remember how they played a particular hole at a particular tournament, and they're also going to remember how their golf swing is based off of the last tournament they were in. Don't get me wrong, there are 7 days in the week. So if a golfer you like played last week and missed the cut, that means they get 5 days before the next start, or the start of the next tournament. Well, 6 days basically. And they can figure out their golf swing then, but still you're going to remember that tournament play. These guys are good, obviously, so they can get out of ruts, they can get out of bad swings, that kind of stuff, much faster than we can. But the psychology's still there, and this game is 99% mental. So I like to joke that I like to joke about stat nerds, the guys that are going to bring you the shots gain metrics. It's a cute way to keep track of how well somebody is doing. It's a cute way of determining how good someone is at a particular golf course, or finding the key stats that perform well at a particular tournament. I don't believe in shots gained, not nearly as much as these stat nerds do. Because I myself, the thing that I'm thinking about when I go to each golf course is, how is my swing? Can I control the golf ball? Is my short game up to par? And how many putts do I hit in a round? So if I'm missing greens, I'm missing greens because I either can't control the golf ball, or the conditions are way too severe. And that's the thing I'm thinking about as a competitive golfer. I'm not thinking about, wow, I played with, just going to throw out a name, Fantasy Golf Pod's Chad Eckert. I played with Chad Eckert, and I gained 5 strokes on him tee to green. If we tied, that doesn't mean anything. I'm still going to work on my driver. I'm still going to work on all that stuff. That stuff doesn't mean anything. What the shots gained metrics do, what they should do for you, is give you a little bit of confidence in playing players that have decent shots gained, or whatever, birdie or better, any other stat. for a pretty decent period of time. That's what you should be using ShotScan. So anyways, it's kind of a long rant, but that's why I use this bucket system. Most recent results of last week, most recent results of last year. So before we get into the bucket system, let me throw you, I'm still going to include some information. I'm still going to look at course history. I'm going to look at Bermuda average. I'm also going to look at peak die average. Because again, as a competitive golfer, when I read greens, I'm going to keep in mind that there's going to be grain on these greens as a Bermuda golf course. I didn't have to do that last week when I was on bent grass. Bent grass, I'm basically just looking at the topography of the green, and I'm determining where the apex of the break is and trying to match the speed to that break. With Bermuda, we have to think about grain. So if there are golfers that have done well on Bermuda, that's why I want to choose Bermuda golfers. They're going to have a leg up. Now, most golfers have played many of these golf courses. If they were college golfers by chance, or just for instance, if they were college golfers, they probably toured all across the United States. They probably golfed a lot in California. They probably golfed a lot in Florida. They've probably seen, Bermuda once or twice. If you're a Florida golfer, you've seen it your entire life. If you're a California golfer, you probably haven't. So if you're, I would rather find either players that are currently living in areas where Bermuda is pretty highly present, or golfers that, by stats wise, have done well on Bermuda. So I'm going to be looking at that stuff. I'm also going to be looking for peak die average, because peak die makes golf courses that if you go in without thinking much about the golf course, it's going to bite you in the ass. And again, these guys probably have a couple practice rounds under their belt prior to the tournament. So that's obviously something that, you're going to take into account, or you should take into account. These guys aren't going into it completely blind. Like, Thursday isn't going to be their very first round of golf at this golf course. They're doing practice rounds right now. But seeing average results being decent, to good, that's going to give you a leg up, in my opinion, at playing this golf course. So those three pieces, easily obtainable. Like, you guys will figure that stuff out through many of the different sites that are out there, or maybe throughout your own spreadsheets, that kind of stuff. Now, I look at the bucket system because, again, that's going to be me trimming down the fat, finding a better player pool, that kind of thing. So I'm looking for 2 golfers that are last year 1s, and 2 golfers that are last year 2s. And we'll see that when I get in the bucket system, which is going to be right now. So I have the bucket, I have these tables pulled up right now. That's basically what they are. They're tables, they're matrices, they're whatever you want to call them. Really, they're tables. So what I have is top 5 and top 10. You're going to see that. Sorry. You will see that here. Top 5 is obviously the top 5 golfers at this tournament for any given year. And I have the years basically rolled out right here. So obviously 2020, 2019, 2018, so forth. I captured data. So, and I should say this. So I have, again, the top 5 table, the top 10 table, and within both of those, I have last year and last week. And I captured data. So for last year, like, last week is self-explanatory. This is last week's tournament. So in 2019, it was the Masters that was before this tournament. We had 2 golfers that finished 1st through 20th. We had 2 golfers that did not play at the Masters, and 1 golfer that missed the cut at the Masters who were playing in this tournament, who finished top 5. And this is kind of a way to identify, which bucket we should, or which range. That's obviously what these are over here. There are 6 ranges. Which range do we feel more confident rostering people in? or golfers in. And I go ahead and populate, all that information dating back to 2013. So that's for last week. Last year is slightly different. It is the same, but I'm taking results from the year before at this tournament. So in 2019, we had 5 golfers inside the top 5. Shocking, I know. So, I mean, sometimes there are ties. You find 6, 7, 8 golfers inside the top 5. But we had 5 golfers in 2019 that had finishing positions the year before. And in all honesty, I did not play. I'm just using as a finishing position as well. But we had 2 golfers that were 1st through 20th and 2 golfers that were 21st through 40th. And so I pull in all of those results, or I populate all those results, and then do a sum function, giving you a total number. So you can see that right there with the formula. And then it gives me a number over here. Now, why is this a 2 over this? I like to always come down to the top 10. Gives me a bigger player pool within these buckets. And I'm going to double check to see if the number's, slightly bigger, significantly bigger, enough to switch that number up here. And I think so. Like 24 over 20 is a little bit, is enough for me to switch this down here. So then I give them ranking scores. And those ranking scores then I apply to the golfer. So I'll create a DK page, and that's where these numbers come into play. I do go a step further. If you see this little percentage over here, that percentage is based off of what I do next. So I put the last year bucket score together with the last week bucket score. So the winner last year, CT Pan, had a last year bucket score of 4 and a last week bucket score of 1. So then I, track all this information and throw it into these buckets down here, give a count of how many times it happens, and then give a count of how many years it has happened. And obviously a 1-1 has happened 5 out of 6 years. And I can go up here and show you at least just a 1-1 in every year. You're just not going to see one in 2014. So that's where I get the bucket score. We also get more of a confidence rating based off of those buckets here. And then again, like I said, I apply a percentage over here, which is 6 divided by 5. So that's 83%. Now it's going to change if, like, Rory McIlroy finishes inside the top 5, then we'll have 6 out of 7 years that let's use Hideki Matsuyama. Hideki Matsuyama is a 1-1. If he finishes inside the top 5, then he will be, he will push that bucket score another year. So it'll be 6 out of 7 years, which then would change this number from 83% to 86%. And you can certainly, use that number as you're creating lineups, as you're rostering these golfers, giving yourself more of a confidence, rating on that, and go with that. We'll go ahead and look at how to build lineups pretty soon. But one thing that I also wanted to add is, if you've been with me in some of these other videos, I have not, this would be brand new to you guys. All that this is taking this number and dividing it into the total. And that also applies to this here. It gives you kind of an idea of all the golfers. So this is a whole pool right here. Of all of these golfers, 34% of them had a finishing position the year before, 1st to 20th. And 31% didn't play. So it gives you kind of an idea of, if you wanted to create lineups, 34% of your lineups should have, I should say 34% of your player pool should be a last year 2. And 31% of your player pool should be a last year 1. And that's how you would look at that. I haven't really gone that far, but let's go ahead and just get right into lineup construction. Or should we? I want to show you what that looks like in other years. So I have 2019 DK page. I also have 2018 DK page. So 2018, I've never had a 2018 page populated, but I went through and added just these 4 fields. And then, well, I should say these 2 fields, and then the last year bucket score to go with each one of them. And that way you can kind of get an idea of what they look like. And obviously you can see the last year's score. 85 would be a missed cut. So you see, we had 3 guys who missed the cut that finished inside the top 5, 2 guys who did not play. We do not see a last year 1 inside the top 5. Oh, I'm sorry. You're looking at 2 of them right now. They're first and second. Yeah, don't mind that. Last year 1, I don't know why I thought that. Okay, don't mind me. Anyways, you can also see what that course history looks like with these golfers and their recent form, what that average looked like with those golfers, and kind of get some kind of, idea of what to look for. So this doesn't have all the stats, but I wanted to show you what this looked like. I'm going to actually go down 1 level further. That way, when I create the timestamps, you're going to see, it's just going to be the 2017 DK review. So that's all we're going to go through right now. I'm going to first sort it by last week and then by last year. And basically what this does, for you guys to look at is, okay, now we have all the 1-1s present here. How many of them finished inside the top 20? We had 7 golfers who were 1-1s. The other thing to also apply to this, so a 1-1 is someone who did not play the year before and someone who did not play the week before. There are many more 1-1s in the previous years than there are this year. And let me show you that one really quick. And then I'm going to give you a reason why that is. So we have 15 1-1s in this tournament, as opposed to in 2019. Sorry. 2019, we had 31. 2018, we had 39 1-1s. Why is that? Well, because this year we're not following the Masters. And the Masters obviously is a tournament where only a few people get invited to. And more than likely, after you play the Masters, because it's the first major of the year, you're not thinking about playing the RBC Heritage. Because we had the pandemic this year, we don't see that many 1-1s. Or I should just say, we have a bunch of golfers who played last week at Colonial because it was the first tournament back. So people aren't fatigued from playing too much golf, and it's not following a major. So obviously we're going to have less golfers here that did not play last week. First of all, I think we're going to have more golfers. I think if we were to look at it, we probably have more golfers who did not play this tournament last year. But anyways, so as you can see, in 2018, we had 7 1-1s that finished inside the top 20. Let me go back to what I was just talking about. It may not be worth looking into 1-1s finishing well at this tournament, or just 1s in general, last year 1s that is. And it's probably more 1-1s. I think we should think more about just 1-1s, because last year 1 means they didn't play. They're probably not going to be 7 golfers inside the top 20 that are 1-1s. And that is because, again, first of all, we have a bigger player pool that played last year, and are elite golfers. So like, you wouldn't just ignore John Rahm or Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth. I don't even know if Jordan Spieth is a last year 1. No, he isn't. But like, you wouldn't. Don't mind me. I had an eyelash in my eye. Yeah, you wouldn't fade all of these golfers because they're not 1-1s. Like, you wouldn't fade Justin Thomas, you wouldn't fade John Rahm, you wouldn't fade why can't I think of the dang names? Ricky Fowler, Jason Day, Sergio Garcia, Brooks Koepka, Rory McIlroy, Tony Finau. You wouldn't fade any of these golfers. Like it's not gonna happen. It'd be really silly to do so. So looking at 1-1's probably gonna be a little difficult to like get to that point. But Hideki's a 1-1, and I think Hideki is in a good spot. But as we go through, go down the list, 1-2s, we don't really see a very good showing of 1-2s. 1-3s had first and second, so maybe that's something we look into if you like kind of trending history. We'll get into 2019. I won't confuse or continue to go back and forth. We can see 2-1s, 2-2s. Patrick Cantlay was a 2-2. Kevin Kisner was a 2-3. Webb Simpson was a 2-4. So they kind of like broke out. They were obviously good plays to begin with, but they broke out because of their last week finishing position. We see Luke List as a 3-1, 8,900 in 2018. He's in the field this week, and he just came off of a Korn Ferry Tour win, so he might be someone to look into. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about every one of them. Pause the video if you want a closer look. Screenshot it if you want to keep it forever. You do you. But yeah, there's kind of your idea of what the buckets look like, and then obviously this is now by results of the 2018 tournament where Satoshi Kodaira won. Yeah, we're gonna see something similar in 2019. So I already have this sorted the same way. So in 2018 there were 7 golfers that were inside the top 20. We had 6 golfers inside the top 20 that were 1-1s in 2019. So like it has a trend, right? I mean, we see this quite a bit in most of the tournaments. I really haven't gone this far down, in explaining all of this, but just to give you kind of an idea of what this looks like, you, as you're looking at this, determine whether or not you like this, whether it looks good or not. There's a bunch of 1-1s. Again, like I said, there's way more 1-1s. So that also is going to kind of dilute what your expectations for 1-1s are in this upcoming tournament, the 2020 tournament. There's just less I don't want to say chance, but less probability that we're going to see a 1-1 inside the top 10. Or I should say, these many 1-1s inside the top 20. A 1-2, the 1-2s are very small, and I'll tell you one thing, we're going to see that in the 2020 spreadsheet, or 2020 DK page as well. There aren't many 1-2s. So it's kind of a telling thing. In 2018, we also had a 1-2 that was inside the top 5. 27, let me double check on that. I don't want to give you false information. Okay, yeah, I was giving you false information. Yeah, not a lot of golfers, but then you look at the name, like the name recognition, and Kevin Chappell is really the only person you could think of that really stands out. Dylan Fratelli before his win, before he kind of jumped up to being just a better golfer. But like Shane Lowry was priced really low, but Shane Lowry is a world golfer. He's a decent golfer. Same with Matt Wallace. Matt Wallace and Danny Willett, although he was kind of struggling last year. But yeah, I like this whole group, pretty decent. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna try to continue to explain why I feel like he would have finished inside the top 10. He's just a good golfer. 1-3s, 1-5s, 1-4s. Like there was only 1-1-4. Justin Harding, not good enough. There's Jordan Spieth as one of 3 golfers that were last year 3s and last year 1s. Cabrera Bello, he was the best one in this group. So you could call this a pool right here, the 1-3 pool. 2-1s. There were 10 2-1s, and of the 10, 2 of them finished top 6. You had Kevin Streelman, Scott Piercy. Any notables? Byung-Hun An at 8,200. And that's about it. Ryan Moore does pretty well at this golf course. 41st place last year. It's not going to win you a tournament, but if you did roster a very, let's put it this way. If you made 6-6 through the cut, that 41st place isn't really hurting you that much. You're probably going to cash somewhere. But yeah, at 8,100, we'd like to see him doing a little better than that. Cantlay shows up again. He was the last year 2, so he kind of followed that trend of, just top 20 finish after top 20 finish. There were top 3 finishes, but in the range that I have, they're top 20s. Poulter and Simpson, good, great players at this tournament. Great iron players that, tend to do well on shorter tracks. Obviously, those 3 golfers for the 2-4s. And then you have DJ there. So the 2-4s, not a bad, combination bucket to kind of probably, I wouldn't say attack, but to use. I'm just gonna scroll through these other ones. Until I find something kind of notable. Okay, so your winner was a 4-1. Rory Sabatini was a 4-1 as well. Sabatini does pretty decent at these golf courses. His Bermuda stats are also pretty impressive. So definitely, we're gonna get into Bermuda here pretty shortly. But yeah, pretty darn good. We scroll down a little bit more. These are golfers here that I would have an issue with missing the cut. I don't remember if I rostered any of these guys last year, but I would definitely have an issue with, all 4 of these golfers. If I had a player pool, I'm probably doing something like, I can't believe Harris English was 6,000 last year. That's insane. In a way, I almost think those numbers are wrong, but I know they're not. So anyways, I don't know how much of Sabatini I would have played. Do I know how much I played of him? No. But yeah, I would have had a big issue if all 4 of those guys, all 5 of the guys really missed the cut. That would really upset me, just because of how well their course history is, and for the most part, how decent their Bermuda score average is. Definitely would have bugged me. But we also have Matt Kuchar down here, who's a 4-4. He does well at this golf course quite a bit. We won't see a lot of 5s that finish inside the top 10. And they finished 10th place. So 5s aren't really anything I'm looking at, and neither are 1s, like last year 1s. Not really, or last year 6s, I should say. I'm sorry. We're not seeing many 6s inside the top 10. All right, so that's 2019, just going through the bucket system. Let's go ahead and look at the results, and then just look at all this different pieces of information that we have at our disposal. At the top, you can see course history plays a huge part in success here. It's showing good course history. Now, I would just say any course history would work, but good course history is definitely playing a bigger role. Recent form, it's mixed, right? It's spotty. 73, 79, 65, followed, wedged in between there, 23, 33. So it's a mix of good and bad. So I wouldn't get too bogged down on that. We don't have to look at the last week scores, because we basically just talked about it with the bucket system. But here we go. We get into the overall Pete Dye, overall Bermuda scores. One thing I want you guys to notice is, although CT Pan, I'm not really going to single him out. But if I were to put a filter on this by condition and say less than or equal to, and we put in the number 56. We don't really lose anybody at the top 10. But look at how many guys have 56 or better that are inside the top 20 still, that finished inside the top 20 last year. That would be a total of 17 golfers who had a average Bermuda score of 56 or better. So that's their average finishing position. The other thing I want you to take a look at is, I bet I could do the same thing with Pete Dye. So it's just going to be slightly different. What we're going to do is not go by 50, 56, but we're going to go by 60. And now that's trimmed from 17 to 14. So everyone is either yellow or orange. So when we go to the 2020 page, that's how we're going to sort through our golfers. We're going to basically trim that out and just find golfers inside this range. We can look at some of this other stuff over here on the side, like how often do they finish inside the top 10, the percentage that they do for Pete Dye, how often do they finish inside the top 10 for Bermuda. As you can see, you're not seeing many zeros. I mean, like Joel Damon, you know, he finished 16th place. Like he could be on your winning lineup, don't get me wrong, but he's not going to be in the optimal lineup, and that's usually what I'm searching for. But either way, we don't see many 0% up here. And again, we're going to look at that kind of thing. Now, what I want to do for you guys is, I already did this in the preview video, but let's look at these swing stats, as I like to call them. Dark green is going to be, well, what is dark green? Let me open all of this up because I do not want golfers to be missing. I don't want to give like the false advertising of these stats. So let me go ahead, open all this back up. And then we can go ahead and actually, we'll talk about tee times after. Go ahead and hide all of that. That way, there we go. We have result, bucket score, and swing stats. So 3 golfers finished inside the top 20 that did not have swing stats. Just so you guys can take a look at that, what I'm going to do is go ahead and take out those golfers. But of the rest of the golfers, 122 of them, this would be 12. So this is your top 10%. So top 10% are going to be dark green. 10 to 20%, so the top 20 percentile will be light green, and it goes down every 10% from there. But it's basically, it's every 12 golfers it goes down. Now when we look at the results, and we're looking at these swing stats, now I can open it up because we can talk about everybody now. The dark red here means the bottom half of the field. This is their score comparatively in the field. So they're below 50% in this stat. That's what this means in this field. Now JT Poston is actually plus shots gained off the tee, but again, he's below that 50% mark for golfers in this field for that stat. Same goes with CT Pan. So like, you know, our winner last year, you need the winner. This is the big thing that I always stress. That's why it's hard to go by these swing stats, because no one's telling you, hey, CT Pan could be a play, primarily because he's a last week bucket 1. You know, we see a lot of last week bucket 1s inside the top 10. There's a lot of golfers, for a lot of people, not golfers, for a lot of stat nerds, that's not helpful. That doesn't apply to what they're trying to teach you guys or to tell you guys. But the fact of the matter is, what stat are you using of CT Pans in order to actually get to him, you know, to use him? He is nearly bottom 50% in every stat for this field. The only thing he isn't is tee to green, but he's in the, I mean, he would be the bottom 60%. So I mean, he's top 40, bottom 60, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want. I think that's, yeah, not bottom 60. Yeah, no, that works. Either way, you're also going to find that with JT Poston. You know, okay, putting stats. You're not choosing him based off of his putting stats. Seamus Power, you're not choosing him either. But these 6 places, just so you know, me and a buddy, we looked at essentially what the lowest score that you would want on your lineup, and it's 7th place. 7th place gets you around 75 points, just on average gets you around 75 points at this tournament. That's not to say someone in 10th place can't get 75 points if they have a lot of birdies on their scorecard, but the fact of the matter is, this tournament doesn't show that happening. So if you want that, you know, I should say this. If you want to find golf, like if you want a lineup that has 6 golfers inside the top 7, you're going to have to figure something like this out. If not, if you were to go strictly by approach, you can't even go strictly by approach because you're not going to find enough golfers inside the top 10. So off the tee, we don't have stats for these guys, so I will just get rid of them. But you know, off the tee, you have 2 guys inside the top 3. That's good, obviously, but that's only 2 golfers. You have a 16th and a 16th. The rest of them, you know, not good. Tee to green, you have 2 golfers inside the top 6 down here. Now this is your top 20 golfers, but you're not seeing enough. You know, if you're being told by the stat nerds out there that you want to look at shots gained approach or proximity or anything like that, what is that really telling you? You know, they're not putting a caveat in there and saying, no, just select 2 golfers or select 3 golfers. They're saying, you know, approach is a good stat. We want to find golfers that are good at approach. It's kind of a blanket statement that incorporates, let's find good golfers with approach. 2nd, 3rd, we scroll down a little bit more. 10th, maybe good enough. Scroll down a little bit more, another 10th and a 6th. So now we're all the way down here, and this would be position 61, this would be position 62. So now we're at the bottom end of approach stats, and we're getting to a 6th place finish, another 6, a 3rd place finish, your winner. It's really difficult to make those blanket statements. Like I hate hearing that from stat nerds saying, choose approach. Just, we got to go with approach. Approach is the key stat for this tournament. Okay, maybe on average we see, you know, like Cantlay, 3rd place finish, 2nd place finish, but there are more missed cuts that are in the top for approach than there are top 20s, top 40s even. Nothing bugs me more than listening to the shots gained stuff. Looking around the green, 5 golfers inside the top 20, bunch of missed cuts. Putting, 2 golfers, so don't use putting. Proximity, don't use proximity. Now I didn't actually have the green and reg percentage, but this is what their PGA rank was heading into it. And again, I have this color coded by top 12, 13 to 24, that kind of thing. So yeah, proximity or green and reg actually isn't so bad. 3 golfers inside the top 3. I mean, I would definitely use that. Birdie or better, 3 golfers inside the top 3 as well. So, you know, do with that as you will. I'm not married to the shots gained stats. I'm not. They're fun to look at, to like weight somebody over another golfer, but for the most part, like I said in the beginning of the video, shots gained just does not matter as a golfer. You don't care about those stats. It does not apply to my success. It really doesn't. My own mind is going to do that, and of course my ability to play. One other thing I wanted to add is the tee time splits, just to see, do we see anything that's out of the ordinary? And really we don't. We see a lot of AM, PM, like we see a mix of AMs and PMs. We also find a mix of one, you know, starting on hole 1, starting on hole 10. So for the most part, we don't really have to worry about that. Do we see anyone paired together though? These guys were paired together. Just trying to find some more golfers, that's all. Ooh, I thought I saw 130. Okay, so I'm really not seeing much that really matters. I'd only consider like golfers inside this range here something I want to really look into, but yeah, I don't see much. Obviously we have these golfers here. Piercy was with Ian Poulter, Seamus Power with Sam Burns. Those are things to look at, but yeah, we didn't really see much when it comes to that. Okay, so our 2020 DK pool. We're finally here, 40 minutes into the video. I knew this was going to be a longer one, but I did like a lot of the stuff I saw. So I already have it sorted by ones, last year ones, and last week ones. So we can do that same thing and apply it. But the thing is, what I'm going to start out with we are going to, first of all, scroll over here. I guess let me get you some eyes on this so you feel more comfortable looking at this. Not so much comfortable, but just so you see what I'm doing. So we're gonna go right away to Bermuda and we're gonna apply the filters that we had. Yeah, we're not gonna go through the whole player pool. So as I apply these filters, just know that this is exactly what I'm doing. So less than equal to 56. That was what our Bermuda average was. Overall die score. What we're going to do is, now I won't lie, I didn't do this as I'm going to talk about my player pool that I'm creating. I didn't actually go into the overall die. That was kind of on the fly as I was creating the video. But I'm going to do that nonetheless here, and we're probably going to get a little bit lower number of golfers. Okay, so here we go. Do you guys remember this percentage over here? If not, I have it in the bucket system. You can rewind, get to it earlier. But basically, this bucket combination score of 1-1s, we see in 83% of tournaments dating back to 2013. So what I'm doing with that is how often, like I'm trying to, so this is a pool by itself. A 1-1 is its own pool. Of those 1-1s, 83% of my lineups, I want to have a 1-1 in. When it's this small, it's kind of scary, I won't lie. So I'm looking at my ownership, like how often do I want to, own some of these golfers? Well, I ended up giving a confidence score over here. 46 of those lineups. So I'm going to create out of 100 lineups and 83%. Basically, these numbers we want to equal 83, and we don't because I didn't do the Pete Dye thing when I was actually creating this confidence score over here. But this equals 78. We're just gonna pretend it's 83. I then how often do I want to play Matsuyama over Tyrrell Hatton? And this is how I feel about it. I did that for every bucket. So 1-1s. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. We see 1-1s 15 times over the last, since 2013, or I should say since 2014, we've seen 1-1s 15 times for the whole player pool. That includes 2019 to 2014. And that's inside the top 10. That nearly dwarfs everything by double. When we look at the rest of the ones, the numbers aren't as big, aren't as much. What we could also do is find out how often we see multiples in a year. So in 2019, we see 3 1-1s. 2018, we see 3 1-1s. 2017, we see 5. 2016, we see 2. 2015, we see 1, or we see 2 as well. So it looks like when we do see a 1-1, we see multiple 1-1s. Again, that's with a bigger 1-1 player pool. Now, the 1-1 player pool isn't even that small. Like, obviously, if you were to look at the 1-1 player pool, if I were to get rid of these filters, our 1-1 player pool is 15 golfers. Now, to remind you guys again, what was our 1-1 player pool the last couple tournaments. 31 golfers in 2019. In 2018, we had 39. So 39 and 31 respectively, 2018, 2019. In 2020, we have only 15. So we have nearly half of what we've seen in the past. So we could basically cut that score in half. That's my thoughts on it. We would probably do less because there's, you know, less players just to have less probability, obviously. But I'm just gonna go half just for the ease of it. But I'm gonna go ahead and apply these filters once again. Okay. So again, now this makes it a little bit more concentrated. What did I not do correctly? Oh, we don't have Bermuda. We're getting sloppy. Getting sloppy. Okay. All right. So our 1-1 player pool, pretty small. I like Hideki Matsuyama quite a bit. In fact, he's my highest ranked golfer in all of the pools. If I go, well, that's not true. Sam Burns is. Sam Burns is the only golfer in the 2-1 pool. So I'm not gonna, the 2-1 pool that applies the overall die score as well as the overall Bermuda. I don't think he's actually the only 2-1 in that, but he has the highest. But of golfers that have more than one golfer in that pool, Hideki Matsuyama is at top, followed by Webb Simpson, Daniel Berger, Ian Poulter, Brent Snedeker. Like, you can make solid lineups with all of these golfers. And as we go through the pools, you're going to see that it didn't just come from happenstance. Like, I don't just have those numbers like that for no reason. So let me go through all of them. So of our 1-1s, we have Hideki at the top that I like the most, 46. Next one is Tyrrell Hatton at 20. Our 1-2s are a little bit bigger. I always have a 1. If they've made all of the filters, they deserve a 1. The 1s also mean I don't care much for them. So we can see of 1-2s, my favorite play would be Ricky Fowler, followed by Jason Day and Jon Rahm. I just, at John's price point, I would much rather play Ricky at 8,100 than Jon Rahm at 10.5. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. We don't really see multiple 1-2s, so I have to make a stance. We got to go with one of them. 1-3s is a very interesting group. Has 4-5 really good golfers, but only one of them is above $11,000. So when I was basically doing the ownership of this, it was difficult because I like all of them. I really like Rory. I don't want to give him 0%, but I might actually change this up a little bit. I don't know if I like Brooks as much as I have him. Out of 100 lineups, 15 is not a lot. So maybe I stick with that and I'm comfortable with it. 1-4s is headed by Justin Thomas, but this has a really good group in it. The fact of this being 16% and these golfers being in it, you can guarantee you that's going to go up. I really like Justin Thomas, but 16% of 100, it's 17. Basically, it's 17. So that's what this number equals up to. It's 17. But when we make our stands, maybe this is. I might just. You know what? I'm going to do that. I am going to make my stand, and I'm going to play a smaller amount of these golfers. We're going to play a lot of Hideki Matsuyama, and we'll go by the spreadsheet and create our lineups based off the spreadsheet. 1-5s. You guys can see what this all looks like. Like I said, 2-1s. He's the only one in that group. 2-2s. Only really. I would say CT Pan is the only golfer I would not consider at all. But I do like Kevin Streelman. I like Matt Kuchar. I like Webb Simpson. So really, it's going to be either Webb or Kuchar in my lineups, which I don't see that being problematic whatsoever. The 2-3s, we only have 2. they're at a 50% mark, a 50% clip. I guess if we went to our 2019s, how many 2-2s do we see? We actually see 0 2-2s. Oh, 2019. Yeah, there were 0 there. 2018, we did see some though. So if I went to the 2018 DK page and scroll down to the 2-2s, how many did we have? We had 3, and we had Patrick Cantlay 9100, so he was a, you know, a high value play. I like that idea. Thinking about were we talking about 2-2s? Why am I okay? So that's for 2-2s. For 2-3s, 50%. I had 2-3 in 2017 and 2018. So I guess let's see what the Kevin Kisner, Matt Kuchar. So like quality golfers for 2-3s here. What did I don't have anything for 2017, and I don't have anything for 2019. Actually, we can go to 2017 recent form tab. A 2 was someone who finished, so it was Willie McGirt. Is that the 2-3? Yep. So not a very good contender for the 2-3s there, but he still finished inside the top 5 or top 6, whatever that was. Top 3. Okay. Anyways, I'm getting concerned that the lighting is going to get darker. It's getting darker outside, so I don't know what my face is going to look like in a couple minutes, but we'll power through it. 2-4s, very interesting. 33% of them. Only 4 golfers made the cut, you know, with all the filters I put in. A very good group of golfers here. Like, I don't think you can go wrong with many of those golfers. Same with 2-5s, and then our lone 2-6, Scott Piercy. So if anyone on the Fantasy Golf Pod, or if you know anyone on the Fantasy Golf Pod is listening to this, you know, Eric Martin's Scott Piercy was his guy. Perhaps, maybe not a good choice. All right, let's go ahead and just cruise through the rest of these. You guys can just see, you know, there are only 2-3 ones that made the cut, 50%. Obviously, I must have not had the dye filter on, because I don't remember just having 15 for those guys. Okay, yep. So Austin Cook and Stuart Sink didn't make the cut for the overall dye, but that's fine. I'm gonna just remain not having the filter on the dye. Any other notable ones that we see? The 3-4s. Look at the 3-4s. Sungjae, Bryson, and Corey Connors. I guarantee you it would be foolish to play 0% of these guys. But if you're going to make a stand like me, perhaps I don't play. I mean, what I'm going to do when I see something like this is whenever there's an open spot for any of that pricing, I'm just going to slot them in. Like, I'm going to fit them in however I can. Same goes with this group here. Furyk, Benan, Charles Howell III, 0%. Now, do those guys have better opportunities to making inside the top 10 than Luke Donald? Absolutely. So seeing Luke Donald at 20 is only because he's a 4-1. We got to be smart with how we choose some of our golfers. If we can pivot from $7,000 Luke Donald to 71 Jim Furyk, we should probably do that. I wouldn't say a lot, but do it as much as we possibly can. DJ is in this group of 4-2s that you only see 17% inside the top 10 over the last 5 years, or 6 years, I should say. I don't know if that's enough of a deterrent for you not to play DJ, but there it is. Daniel Berger, winner last week. Really the only 4-4 that's in the field that obviously makes the cut. I'll probably be putting a bunch of Berger in there. And then really interesting, so we don't really see a lot of 5s. I don't even think that number's correct, is it? Yeah, so it should be 33%, not 50%. Okay. So that should be 33.33. And that changes this considerably. Instead of 30, let's see, 13. So let's say we want Brent Snedeker in 20 and Luke List in 13. There we go. That's how we do that. Jordan Spieth down here, 5'4". Again, we don't see many fives inside the top 10, so maybe we just don't play Jordan Spieth. Ryan Armour, 6'1". I don't remember there being sixes. We have one. Okay, we do have some 6'1s. Okay, and we only have 6'1s. Okay. Let's start creating our lineups. So what I'm gonna do, we'll go ahead and go over to the lineup construction page, and essentially how I'm gonna create lineups. I'm just gonna do 10. I'm not gonna go over 100, but pretend that this would be 100 lineups. So of the 10, if we were to go ahead, pull up that notes page again and see the percentage of ones that we want in our lineup, like the player pool, 30% of our lineups we want to have a last year one in there. So what that looks like is if we go ahead and we select all of these cells, I'm getting a count. I mean, it's 10 times 6. Sorry. So we have 60 places. Obviously, I'm just going to throw up the calculator. We can do math pretty fast. We don't really need this. But 60 times 0.3333. That's 33%. Basically 20 spots. So let's go ahead. I'm actually just going to color this in to make it easier for you guys to see. So this is just this is our lineups here. So 20 of these spots, we want to have a last year one in. What we could do is basically do something like that, where, you know, these two lineups here, or these two rows, are dedicated to the last year ones. We don't have to do that. What we could do is something like this. I mean, just simple, add another 1 right there. So now we have 3. And again, you know, this would be 10 plus 9 plus 1. You know, that's your 20 score. But we really don't have to do that. You know, we could do something like this. We could even do something like this and go like that. So again, we're going to have the same amount of last year ones. It's just going to be a little different. And really, it's up to you as to how you want this to look. So there's 20. I'm going to keep it like that. If we go back to that page and look at, so, I mean, we want 34% last year 2s, 31% last year 1s. Going back to that spreadsheet. So we got to fill in essentially the same thing. So let me take 1 away from here. And now we're going to fill this in with the light greens. And I'm just going to make this easy. There's 4, 6. Oh, we just put 1 there. 7, 11, 13, 16, 18, 21. So now I'm going to fill my last year 2s with these golfers at 21. Okay. And that would be 60%. Basically 60% of our roster spots are dedicated to, you know, these bucket scores. So again, it applies the same way. We want something like that. We want to make it look something like that. So let's go ahead and fill in those rosters. So right away, Hideki Matsuyama. So of those 30 some spots, I'm going to do 80%. I should say the bucket combination that we see year to year. I mean, whatever. So we're going to go Hideki, Hideki, Hideki. I'm going to put him in 6 lineups where he's leading. And then, actually, it doesn't really matter. We want 8. So we're going to put him in 8. We'll do something like that. And then we want to follow it up. So like Tyrrell Hatton, we want in 2. I would say I'm going to put Tyrrell Hatton here and one with Hideki Matsuyama. Aaron Wise, 5. Now, when we divide all this by 10, this doesn't become an even number. So we're really not going to choose anyone from there. So we'll come down to Ricky Fowler. 18, obviously, if we're going down to 10, that's like 1.8. So we're going to put him in 2 lineups. I'm going to go ahead and put him there and there. Jason Day, same thing. It's nearly 2 lineups. It's really 1. So I'm actually just going to put him in 1. John Rahm, I have to put a John Rahm lineup together. Like I cannot not have John. I can't go without having John in there. But like I'm going to pass on Sergio and Sebastian Munoz and really the rest of these guys here. Go down to Brooks. This becomes 1.5. So I can either choose to put him in 1 or 2 lineups. I'll put him in 2. So now I really only have 3 roster spots available for any of these golfers down here. Let's go ahead and put 1 Rory. Was that the right place to put him? Oh, that's 2. Put him here. 1 Rory and 1 Finau. And then the rest, I mean, I can't go without Justin Thomas. So that's how I'm going to do that. That's can't put JT and Rory together. Much better. There we go. That looks better. So there we go. We got our last year ones solidified. And again, these guys fit our filters. We're putting, you know, basically 56 average finishing position at Bermuda courses or better. I'm going to go ahead and apply the Pete Dye one right now. That way you get a little bit better number. Of our 2s, now we have 14 golfers to choose from. Unlike the ones that we had here, we had 27. Basically, we need to find golfers that we really like. So 35, if we obviously divide, you know, just move the decimal place over, we're going to put Webb Simpson in 4 lineups. I would just put him in, like, when you're looking at salaries over here, add him to what would make sense. So there we go. We got that one covered. Kuchar can then go in the other ones. So I don't know. Do we want? Oh, that works. Kuchar can be there. How many do we want? 3? Yeah, we'll put them in 3. So there we go. And then we go down from there. Ian Poulter, we want in 3. Rafa, we want in 2. And again, I'm using this number over here. Obviously, this is off of 100. So if we're only doing 10 lineups, you just move the decimal place over. Damon, we want in 1. Kokrak, we want in 1. ZJ, we want in 1. Stewart, we want in 1 as well. Probably this one. Yeah. Okay, so now obviously this does. Oh, I forgot Sam Burns. Sam Burns goes in all of the rest. I'm actually gonna move Damon We're gonna put Sam Burns up there. Put Damon here. And then I'm gonna put Poulter here and Sam Burns there. There we go. That works out. So now we got our 1s and our 2s done. Now we have all these finishing positions here to figure out who the rest of the golfers are going to be. Let's go ahead and put one Schwartzel somewhere. Let's go ahead and put one Henley somewhere. So Schwartzel's 6,600. What I should really do is put him in something like right down here. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. We can actually fill out this lineup right now. Who is 10-7 that is yellow or... Oh my god. Just works out perfectly. Bryson DeChambeau. But yeah, we had Henley, so those are all 1s. We really don't have anyone else that's in the yellow that we need to play. Luke Donald, we're going to put in 2 lineups somewhere. He is cheap as well, so let's find a low... What is he, 7,000? Yeah, so he fits in perfect right there. So now this one is completed. So we got 2 there. We'll put 1 JJ Spawn for whatever reason. I don't know why. And that works. DJ we want to play 1 of, right? We can't not put DJ in our lineup, so we'll put him where it fits. It's perfect. Daniel Berger in 3 lineups, 8,900. So that would work here. Here and here. Brant Snedeker in 2 lineups. How much does he? 75. So it works here. And it works here. Jordan Spieth in 1 to 2 lineups, 8,700. That works there. We can also put it here. And really, we don't see anyone else. So now it comes to our discretion of who we really want to put here. You know, we have 3, 4, 5, 6 lineups. We can go through these golfers and say, man, I didn't play so-and-so. I really want to play. You know, he has to be in my lineup. And in all reality, I can't even fit Xander anywhere. Even if I put him here, 6,000, you know, bare minimum, doesn't work for me. So Xander won't be on my lineups for this scenario. We could play someone like Sungjae. I mean, we don't have a lot of Sungjae in here, so that's what we're going. So 97 works out perfect. We're just $100 away from that. I don't think I can put him here and it be somewhat decent. So we have 1 Sungjae lineup. That's it. We don't really need to spend all of our salary, honestly. We could leave a lot of money on the table still, but who are some golfers that we didn't really play a lot of? I don't think we can fit, no, we can't fit JT in anywhere. We can't fit Morikawa in anywhere. We can do Justin Rose though. 9,200 works right here. We could also put him in 9,600, but let's see if we can find someone else that we can also fit in there. Suppose we could just go by salary now. So yeah, I'll put Justin Rose right there, and then I'm gonna put Patrick Reed actually right here. 7,300. Who can we fit up there that we should play that we haven't? How much Rafa do we have? Did we put Rafa in there? Yeah, we put him in there. No Sergio, so might as well put Sergio in. Perfect. 7,300 fits out perfect. 8,100 average. Let's go ahead and put someone like Victor Hovland in there. We don't have any Jason Day, do we? I could literally just put Jason Day in there and be cool with it. 8,600 though. We don't have any Gary Woodland. So there you go. So now we added a few more last year 1s, but that works. You know, that is essentially how I go ahead and create lineups. I'm not going to do that for the rest of the lineups I'm making. I am putting in 100 lineups, or I'm going to create 100 lineups. I will keep this up here for your guys' viewing pleasure. We can go ahead and review how these lineups did. I'll throw them somewhere in certain lineups. And really how I create lineups or the contests I enter, I do put myself into some higher, like I'll enter the Millie Maker. And then I have a $3 lineup, a couple $1 lineups. But most of them are quarter arcade, like quarter, 25-cent games and then 10-cent games. And that's basically where I get my volume of lineups. But what I like to do is I like to mix it between GPPs and winner-take-alls, which isn't really it isn't a conservative way to do this type of betting or DFS stuff. But that's how I stay afloat. So I put in like this week, usually I put in like $25 a week. And hopefully I win one of those 25-cent, $50 winner-take-alls. Then I basically double my money off of one entry. And as I'm going through this, I'm also kind of figuring out what I like, how I'm creating lineups. So I'm doing this as much as I possibly can, trying to hone in on basically the optimal strategy of putting together lineups. To me, this looks beautiful. I went heavy on Hideki Matsuyama. So I don't feel bad on that. That's going to be my stand. Obviously, I played 0 Xander. Gosh, who else did I play 0 of? So it's 0 Xander. I have 1 John Rahm, 0 Colin Morikawa, 1 Sung J M. The rest of them just one time basically. And I don't mind. Like I really like that idea. I'm really liking. Yeah, so there you go. 0% on these 2 golfers, which I believe. Yeah, that's Colin Morikawa and Xander Schauffele. Everyone else has ownership. Just those 2 golfers when I made these lineups. Now, as I go through this, I'm obviously going to include Xander, and I'm also going to include Morikawa, but I kind of like it because Morikawa at $10,000, I'm not sure I feel super confident in this year or in this week. So I like how this turned out. This was actually a lot of fun. I'm glad if you stayed all the way to this point. Comment. Trying to think of what you should comment because I'm going to give you a reward for doing so. Okay, how about this? Just comment your favorite golfer. If you comment your favorite golfer, I will message you. And it's your favorite golfer in this field. And I will give you this spreadsheet, which includes how to put lineups. It includes the salary. So you can throw together golfers here, and it'll tell you how much you have remaining, how much that average is, and stuff like that. So go ahead, give me your best golfer. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for watching, guys. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you during the review video. All right, bye.